Today is November 3rd, 2015, and this is about a vision I had that I've titled Snowstorm, even though I did not see any snow in my vision. Let me explain. On October 30th, I saw the words "time of hope" in the Bible, like they were part of a verse. My impression was Jesus as a baby, and I thought, oh, this is about Christmas. But then the words faded. Now, I do not believe that he was born on Christmas Day, but the world celebrates it as though he was, so I think that's why I had that thought. The following morning, which was Halloween, I saw the name Thor, only that faded quickly and changed into Theus. After that, I saw the word cat, and then later the number 4. Lastly, I heard protect you in the storm. So I had 5 puzzle pieces to work with. As soon as I got up, I looked up the phrase time of hope in the Bible. I looked and looked but could not find it, no matter how much I looked, no matter what search engine, what translation, just couldn't find it. So then I asked Jackie, who is my friend, one of the members here. She's was an English major and an author, so she's my go-to person. I asked her to help me look. She couldn't find the phrase either. Well, I was fasting this day since it was Halloween, and I think that helped because information started to come pretty fast a few hours into the morning. As I was thinking about it, the Holy Spirit said, it's not found in the Bible because it's not in the Bible. Now, how could that be? I had seen the phrase as if it was in the Bible. The Holy Spirit showed me that it was one of those books that had been removed from the Bible. And since it has to do with hope, I thought about Hanukkah, about Maccabees. I looked at the book, and there actually are 4 Maccabees books, so I felt I was to read them. That was the time of hope, and it was about Hanukkah. There were 4 books, and that was my number 4. Well, maybe anyway. Now here's the interesting thing about Thor/Theus. I googled Theus, and all I could find was some guy that played sports. I couldn't find anything else. I was pretty sure that my vision was not about that person, but never say never, especially when it comes to God. I decided to look up the meaning of Theus, and eventually I came across the link. And the meaning of Theus in Dutch and North German is that it's from a short form of a personal name, Matthias, like Matthew. Matthias, that was the name of the father of the Maccabees. So that was another confirmation that I was to read that book. Now, another place I found in the history of Maccabees, which there's a link, here's the excerpt. Though many Jews had been seduced by the virtues of Hellenism, the extreme measures adopted by Antiochus helped unite the people. When a Greek official tried to force a priest named Mattathias to make a sacrifice to a pagan god, the Jew murdered the man. Predictably, Antiochus began reprisals. But in 167 before Christ, the Jews rose up behind Matthias and his 5 sons and fought for their liberation. So that is the Maccabees, him and his 5 sons. It's an incredible story. You really need to read all 4. The 4th one, I will just throw this out there. 4 Maccabees has a story in it about a mother and her 7 sons and how the 7 sons are tortured by this Antiochus. And honestly, it seems worse than ISIS. I know, but it's just horrible. Okay, so back to the vision. The reason I feel that Thor came into the picture in my vision is that the whole reason for the uprising was that the officials wanted to force the Jews to worship pagan gods, and Thor is considered a Norse god. But the Lord didn't want me to focus on that, rather just Matthias, or I don't know how to pronounce it, Mattathias, as they spell it. Okay, so I was reading. Now don't laugh, but I felt at some point in these books I would read about a cat. Even if the word was just tossed in there, I thought I would find it. I am very literal. Plus, I have faith. These visions and words can seem unrelated, but then the Lord relates them, as I have seen in the past, in incredible ways. So I continued reading, and I read something in the first book of Maccabees in chapter 13 that it just kind of hit a bell to me, but I just kept reading because I was looking for the word cat. So during my reading time, the answer came out of nowhere. It was not a cat. It was a snowstorm. It did come back to me. The Lord pointed it out. In 1 Maccabees 13, verse 22, it says, and pardon me, I'll probably get this pronunciation wrong. Wherefore Tryphon made ready all his horsemen to come that night, but there fell a very great snow, by reason whereof he came not. So he departed and came into the country of Galilee. And that's actually the King James Version. There's other translations that just say because of the snow, he didn't go. Okay, that snowstorm had stood out to me, but I kind of ignored it. I think that happens to all of us, really. God prompts us to look into something further, but we shake it off because we think that it's us that has that thought, and we just move on. But God prompts us a lot. Believe me, you guys know this. Fortunately, in this case, God turned me back to that, and it hit me like a lightning bolt. A CAT stood for category, a category 4 snowstorm. And I was reading about Hanukkah, so I believe it's going to hit in December, possibly around that time. Now, the first thing I want to say is I do not know what year. I don't know if it's this year or not. The fact is, I didn't even know they categorized snowstorms, but they do here in the United States, and I found some information in a link that I'll post. My husband and I both grew up here in Indiana, which is in the middle of the United States. We've lived here all our lives. Neither one of us have ever heard of a category of a snowstorm. Hurricanes, yes, but they pretty much don't hit us either. But I think God is pointing us to something here in this vision based on the information on these links. Snowstorms are categorized differently than hurricanes. Snowstorms are based on how many inches of snow and how many people will be affected. A category 4 has between 12 and 16 inches and is considered a rare event. Now, 12 and 16 inches, as you know, you pretty much can't leave your house. So all kinds of warnings go out, and hospitals get prepped and all this. So please know that I do not feel this is limited to the United States or even this year. This could be anywhere in the world that has this type of really, really horrific, crippling, that's the word they use, crippling snowstorm. But a category 4 is so rare that we just might want to be on the lookout for one in December, possibly from December 6th to the 14th. Again, I don't know. I just thought I'd post it and I'd put it in a video because I'm well aware of snowstorms in the Midwest. I know many of us are. And so we'll just watch and see what happens this year.